Hi, I'm Sarah.
And I'm Heidi.
Welcome to the Heart of Homestead family.
Okay, so we finally made it out to Sarah's strawberry patch. It has been a wild few weeks. She's been very busy.
Yes, Heidi, we've been open for about 23 days now. So,
wow.
Yeah, once we're open. We don't close unless it's like pouring rain or like something catastrophic happens. So,
yes.
Yeah, we're busy. Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. And we did have a good amount of rain the other day.
We did, yeah.
And everything was good? Okay.
Well, we had over 2.5 inches. And
wow.
So, yeah, the whole entire, like everything you see here was just flooded. So, yeah, it was quite devastating at the time because we didn't know if we would be open the next day. Fortunately, it drained pretty well and most of the berries are spared. Yes.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're going to explain to everybody that's watching about growing commercial strawberries.
Yeah.
And having like a pick your own and all the different aspects of that and what you provide with the strawberries as well.
Yeah, so we grow June bearing strawberries, which means that they only produce fruit in basically June and July, which is different than other operations that produce ever bearing or day neutral strawberries. So we only ship for 4 or 5 weeks of the year and that's it. So this is where everything happens. But in order to get to that stage where you're shipping berries, you need to plant them the year before you start harvesting. So it's a year-long process or more than a year-long process to make sure that you are able to grow and harvest berries, which means that even when we're not picking, even when we're not harvesting, people always ask, what do you do?
Yes.
Well, we're always, planting for the next year or we're harvesting and then we're into cultivating and making sure the rows are nice and ready for the following year. So there's lots of stuff we're doing. Weeding.
Weeding.
Yeah.
No matter what size you are, there's
that's right.
Lots of that.
Yeah. And then pest control and straw and like all kinds of things. So it's never ending. Always scouting for pests and things like that. So So fortunately, this what we're sitting in right now is the crop that we just planted in May, and it'll be ready next June. So these plants, they come as like little plugs and we plant them and then they grow into like real plants and then we train them into rows. Because if you've ever grown strawberries at home, you will know they grow into a big mat and it's very hard to walk. And so we train them all summer long.
Wow.
So, yeah.
So you're constantly moving their...
They're runners.
The runners.
Yes.
Yep,
yes.
Into the rows. Nice.
Yes. So these plants right here, like if you can see these guys, these are called the mother plants and they will produce daughters and those daughters are from the runners and we train them so that they're in rows as opposed to this big mat.
And then when will you put straw down?
We'll put straw down when it starts to get really heavy frost or if we start to get frozen soil. So usually for us down here, it can be anywhere from like November into January, depending on when the freeze thaws happen. Yeah. So,
and that helps to prevent the weeds from coming up. Also, next year when you guys are starting to harvest.
Yeah, it protects the berries from being on the ground, so being really dirty. But then in addition to that, it helps with the freeze thaw in the spring.
Yes.
So that's where you get a lot of damage in like fruit production, like plant production, plant growth too. So you want to make sure that that mat will help to protect them before you take it off in spring and that. So that's kind of how it goes. And so if you have plants at home and you've planted them like let's say this last spring for June bearing, you'll notice that they start to send out flowers or they send out fruit. So in this case, some of these have fruit already on them, flowers and fruit. So what we do, unfortunately, is we'll go along and we will cut off all those blossoms or all that fruit because we want the energy to go into building those runners and those daughter plants and not into fruit production. So that's one thing that we're always doing and it's happening at the same time as strawberry season. So these ones didn't get done right away, but we will go through and clip off all those fruit and all those blossoms. Yeah, so this is kind of what it looks like. And now from now until the fall, we are consistently weeding, hand weeding in between. And then we're also cultivating with the tractor and we're cultivating them right into rows as well. So that's a lot of it. And then also scouting for pest pressure because that's a big one too.
And what are some of the pests and diseases that the strawberries can get?
Yeah, so for the first year crop, like you're looking for aphids is a really big one. Little green ones, they'll eat they don't really eat, but they feed on the strawberry stem, and it can also cause diseases, like they transfer diseases from. Yeah, so that's one. Another one that we can have a big problem with is is when we cut the hay, we have a lot of bugs that come over from the hay, and they like to feed on strawberries as well. So it's one thing, especially on a homestead, right? If you've got multiple crops, you got to be worried about that. And then we've got clipper weevil that comes in. They often clip the blossoms, so it's more on the second year fruit. But if you've got by fence rows or tree lines, clipper weevil will come in. So that's one as well. Spotted wing is one that flies in, so you got to be monitoring for that. That's in fruit production, not so much in now. Okay. And then of course, like all of your diseases and your nematodes. So there's a ton of things you have to worry about, not just on plants, but also on fruit itself.
Yeah. So constantly keeping an eye, because especially in a commercial setting, it starts and then all of a sudden it's got everything.
That's right. It spreads quickly, you know, and as much as we're in a kind of a monoculture when we're growing commercially, right? We like to try to have different crops within it, but at the same time, like you're still trying to make high production out of small space. So you are in a monoculture system more than likely, and that means that your risk of these kinds of things like diseases is higher. Wow. So, and that's also why it's important to rotate the soil. So we have a rotation system here where we're not always planting strawberries in the same place every year from year, but it can be a challenge as well. So this is kind of what they look like right now. Then as they continue to grow, we'll train them this year, and then they'll be ready for fruit production next year, and then hopefully the following year. But oftentimes we don't leave them after 2 or 3 years because they get really weedy, and it's really challenging for our pick your own because they want to be picking in clean fields. And so welcome to the actual June bearing strawberry plants. These were planted last May, so almost 13 months ago now, and they're actually fruiting. We have been open since early June, and this is like early July. This is July 2nd today. So our plants are still doing really well. We've got 7 varieties here of strawberries that we grow thanks to my mother-in-law. She's been doing great for 42 years now. We've been growing strawberries. So these variety here that we're in is an earlier season variety, so a lot of them will already be done. Why we grow so many different varieties is because they come on at different times in June. So even though the season is really short, only about 5 weeks or so, we still have varieties that come on for the first 2 weeks, varieties the second 2 weeks, varieties the third 2 weeks, kind of thing. So you want to stagger your varieties so you get a long harvest window. So these ones here are mid-season. These ones here are the Audreys, which are like a mid to late season. They often will grow out in bunches, but as the season progresses, they will get smaller. So this strawberry here is a bigger one than this, even though they're both Audreys. But this one here is the latest bloom, where this one is the earliest bloom on the Audreys, if that makes sense. So they're from the same plant, the Audrey plant, but this one here, this flower here, flowered later than this one here. And why we know that is because this one is bigger. In the king bloom, which is the first bloom, the first berry that you pick is always the biggest berry of any berry on that plant. And so as the season progresses, the berries also get smaller and smaller because you've picked off the first blooms that are ready, which are the king, the biggest ones, and then they size down from there. So that's one really interesting thing about strawberries. The other thing too is when you're picking them, you want to make sure you pick them from the calyx. So like you pull them off the plant like this, because you don't want to squish the berry, especially when it's really hot in the summer heat and summer sun. In the middle of the day, they'll be quite soft. So you want to pull them from the calyx, which is above, just right above here, the green part of the berry. So that's a little bit about growing strawberries, a little bit about picking them. But as you can see here too, they're all trained, so we can walk between them in the rows, right? And we've got straw, and that's because, like I mentioned, with our first year patches, we're always training them. And once these ones are done fruiting in another couple of days to about a week's time, we'll go through with basically a big lawnmower and we'll mow down all the berries. It's called renovating. And what that does is it helps to encourage more plant growth for next year too. And it also helps to reduce other pest pressures as well. So it's called renovating. And you want to do that after the strawberries have fruited and when they're all finished. And then you go down and you renovate them, and then the next year they come back again, hopefully even healthier and bigger and stronger than they were the previous year. So that's a little bit more about strawberries if you're looking to grow them at home.
Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us in Sarah's Strawberry Patch.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. And way to go for another great, successful strawberry season.
Thanks, Heidi.
And through our podcast and YouTube, we'll share more about strawberries because we both love strawberries.
Well, yeah, that's just it. There's so much to know, and it's hard to condense it all into a short period of time. So if you have questions, please let us know.
That is just the shortened version of a commercial style strawberry
That's right.
farm. We'll see you on the next video.
Cheers.